The Rise of Skywalker is often described as a Star Wars film that will be full of twists and turns, as well as revelations that will lead to saga-wide implications in this story by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. So, Episode 9 is going to be, at the end of the day, a revelation film. It's going to have a lot of surprises coming our way for the audience once they go ahead and see this movie come December 19th of this year. And what's great about this is that this is going to change our view on the originals and the prequels. Hopefully it's going to be because it's going to go in a positive way instead of a negative way. Let's just hope that J.J. Abrams is going to be able to knock this movie out of the park. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very intriguing for Episode 9. Now, specifically, a description of Rey inside of a crystal cave, where it's described that after her meditation session on top of a large boulder, and modifying the Skywalker lightsaber, is that Rey goes through and over to her backpack, where she stored many of Luke's belongings that she took from his hut during The Last Jedi. It's described that one of the big secrets that Rey comes across of Luke, and something that Luke kept locked away on Ahch-To, was that Luke owned the authentic manuscript of Darth Plagueis, that is said to be inspired from Legends material and making its way into canon by J.J. Abrams. The manuscript of Plagueis that Luke owned is said to have many instructions through the ways of the dark side of performing certain abilities that Darth Plagueis himself had taught himself. It's described that in the Plagueis manuscript that Plagueis had discovered a certain Sith ability that would allow one to bridge the minds of others, an ability that Snoke used. It's described that Plagueis learned this ability from Snoke's master, who called himself Nile Ren. Additionally, it's described that Luke got his hands on the manuscript by invading one of Palpatine's vaults with Lor San Tekka sometime after the events of the Battle of Jakku. Luke used the manuscript to understand the true nature of the dark side during his time on Ahch-To to gain knowledge of how dangerous it can be from a Sith's perspective. So let's go over a couple of parts about this, because we do know that there are going to be a lot of revelations, right? A lot of reveals and surprises for many of our beloved characters like Luke, Leia, Lando, Han Solo, you name it, as well as new truths that will come to light of some of the other characters. Now, the whole entire connection here between both Luke and Plagueis, and how Luke discovered the manuscript of Darth Plagueis through one of the vaults of Darth Sidious. In case you guys are completely unaware about all of this, is that, well, Emperor Palpatine had stored all these different Sith artifacts and relics through a series of vaults that he had stored within different star systems across the entire galaxy, most of which were based over in the Outer Rim and other areas of the galaxy. One planet in particular that we visually got to see was in the Battlefront 2 campaign on the world of Pilio, where both Del Meeko and Luke Skywalker were able to bust through that actual vault and discover the compass that led to the first Jedi Temple. Now, what's really great about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie really is going to tap into Jedi and Sith lore, as well as Force lore, and Darth Plagueis' manuscript definitely does, bring us to the top of the list here, because at the end of the day, a lot of people want to learn more about Plagueis. So far, at least in canon-wise, we know little to nothing about Darth Plagueis. Yes, there are some references of him. I believe it was in the Tarkin novel, if I'm not mistaken, that is indeed canon under Disney. But other than that, we know little to nothing about Plagueis. In fact, in canon under Disney, we're still unaware as to exactly what species Plagueis really is. In Legends, he's a Mun. But in, of course, the canon material, it's left completely mysterious. So he could really be anybody if Disney wants to make him anybody. So the manuscript of Plagueis, it's said that he learned some abilities from Nile Ren. This Nile Ren character, we have been going over of him for quite some time now, is said to be both the master of Snoke and Darth Plagueis, and that Plagueis had actually learned this ability through, of course, Nile Ren, the ability to bridge the minds of others. It also explains why Snoke was also able to use this ability in The Last Jedi against both Kylo Ren and Rey, seeing each other's environments in the form of a Force bond. So you could really see what JJ's trying to do. He's trying to set up all the different connections and how all these different characters were able to gain these certain powers in Episode 9 and Episode 8, whatever have you, right? So this movie really seems like it's going to take advantage of Force Jedi, and Sith lore in order to really pique the interest of the hardcore fans that are very well in tune with the expanded universe, which really was a time in the Star Wars franchise in the 1990s and throughout the early 2000s, even the mid-2000s, where we did get a lot of that type of content that's now going to make its way and introducing itself into Episode 9 that will be expanded on by Disney and Lucasfilm after Episode 9's release as well, in the forms of books, novels, comics, TV series, and future Star Wars movies alike. So I would love to hear what you all have to say about this between both Luke, Darth Plagueis, and even Rey discovering this within her backpack that contains all these personal items of Skywalker. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.